all right. It is a best of 5 match. One of the Goliaths, one of the favorites of the entire tournament. In the bottom right side, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. He is Dark. Picked his name after watching a fantastic German drama series about time travel. Now you might say, well, he's been competing under that alias since 2012 or 2011, Pig. How could he have done that? Well, you guys have to remember that time is a circle. And I'll stop. Anyways, up in the top left, we've got Team Envy's Dongray Gu as well. A big underdog. He's lost something like the last 9 or 10 series in a row versus Dark, but is a very experienced player, and I think he's willing to play a high-risk, high-reward style. He will not just be playing super safe. Now, interestingly, Dark vetoed Waterfall, one of the short rush distance maps, as one of his first ones. And yet he's also gone and picked the biggest map in the pool, the safest one in Cosmic Sapphire. Feels like Dark's coming at this with like okay, maybe I've lost some games to your cheeses recently, your early pools are kind of scary. Weird, because I'm used to Dark being more of the aggressor in a series, yet opens up with the very defensive maps. His spawning pool gas placement does not create any sort of wall in his mineral line. Interesting placement there. Meanwhile, we've got more of the standard wall off with the spawning pool. We can plug that gap with a queen and see exactly what he can do. Now in Cosmic Sapphire, the gold base, the last time I saw this one come into play in a ZvZ, it was a long time ago. It was a really long time ago. I don't know how often we're going to get to be able to see this one. The gold base is very hard to secure. Mutas, on the other hand, can be great here. But I feel like the 1 or 2 times I've seen someone try to go mutas against a Roach player, we've seen Nidus Worms pop up. Lots of Roach versus Roach games. And of course, when the Koreans are involved, I mean, they have a deep understanding of the power of a +1 carapace Roach timing. Dark used to do that pretty much as his standard play for several months. He doesn't do it as much now, but there's always a threat. It's always something that's running through your head. Now, DRG here, 28 supply, builds his Overlord on time. Dark gets his Overlord pretty late in ZvZ, which I always find to be quite inefficient. But he is going for the 28 third hatch. That's curious. So he goes for his hatchery very fast. DRG also goes for a 30 hatchery. Interesting. Both queens popping out, very slow to inject though. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, it looks like a very similar opening, but no one's pulled off gas for Dark, whereas DRG's pulled 2 off. Okay, so the way I'm sensing this is Dark's going to go for a big... Oh, okay, I was going to say, I think he'll go for a big Ling Bane pressure, but I think what he's going to do now is maybe flood out about 16 Zergling. Oh, what? Roach Warren and a Baneling Nest? Wow, okay, Dark is going completely all in. So this is classic Dark, guys. This is the worst possible build for this map. A Roach Bane all in off 26 workers is terrible here because it's such a long rush distance. Guess what? Sometimes doing the terrible thing is the least expected thing. There is no way DRG expects that. Fortunately, though, for DRG, he is flooding out a good number of Zerglings. He's going to go for a cancel on the 3rd, and if that also allows him to see the enemy Roach Warren, then he might be able to defend it. The only scary thing is if he's a bit too greedy behind it. His own Baneling Nest is, of course, much later. If he can trap that queen, that would be fantastic, and indeed he does, but she gets to the corner. Nicely done there by Dark. Very good micro. She's going to take down 1, 2 Zerglings. Almost gets a 3rd one before she goes down. The Lings are here. Baneling's morphing for Dark, but he loses his 3rd base. 10 drones on the way. Uh-oh. DRG thinks he's just got one over Dark, but that was really just a macro hatch. Remember, Dark was already planning an all-in. Now Dark's like, oh, I'll do a Ling Bane counter pressure because I have to do something to get back in the game. The Overlord will see everything. The Baneling's pulling back. We see a few more Banelings morphing out of the map. Roaches are now coming out. Let's see DRG's vision. Does he realize? He's building a Roach Horn. I don't think he's noticed the Roaches, guys. He sees it. Okay, he sees it. He sees the Roaches. He's got to be really careful. Back to everyone's vision. Ooh, he's got to pull back to the natural. He's up 10 workers. The 3rd base is completely unimportant. Anything he can do to buy time by running Lings across the map would be great. The problem is Dark's got Banelings against his only Ling Bane. And he's not building a Spine Crawler. DRG does not have the read. He does not realize how committed this is. Otherwise, he would have started a Spine. He's building nothing but Lings and Banes, and his Banes are very clumped right now. Ooh, Dark doesn't get the Baneling detonation. Oh, he does in the natural, though. He just killed so many Zerglings. DRG taking a horrendous whack to the face. His Ling run by does get in, though. He's going to surround and kill the queen on the red. ramp. That is a nice pick off. His own Queenling Bane trying to scramble. He is building roaches behind this. He's still up 10, 11 workers, and he's winning the trades in the main. The Ling run by was actually fantastic. Losing his third is not a big problem in the large picture. Remember, Dark is only on 2 bases as well. Dark needs more damage than this. These Banelings are a very real problem. One Baneling gets focused down. He's got his roaches out. As long as DRG focuses the other Banes down, his Lings can be effective. But right now, his Lings need to be more of a backstab force. DRG runs into the Banelings. Guys, oh man, I don't know if you guys have ever had any friends growing up that played really dangerous games like Chicken with moving cars or anything like that, or they were skateboarding and they try to hang on the back of a car to hitch a ride. That's essentially what those Zerglings were doing. They dared each other to touch that Baneling, ran up, touched it, and of course it was just as it popped out of the cocoon. Playing Russian roulette with that, not a good choice, and now Dark gets a massive surround. Oh, DRG is still up 6 workers. He's still winning this game economically, but that big mistake did allow Dark to take a half-decent trade, but you know what? DRG's still up 6 workers. He might just be so far ahead that it's fine. He's still got the 35 workers intact, and the second gas is super important. Having a second gas in this scenario is massive. Notice Dark doesn't have one. So he's down on minerals, and he's down on gas significantly. And because of this, DRG can basically control the game, add a handful of drones, do whatever he wants. Feels like DRG is doubling down on trying to kill him with some counter aggression, doing nothing but roaches, queens, and an upgrade. It feels to me like DRG wants to kill him with +1 roaches. I think the safest play is to drone up, though. If he drones up, he'll definitely be ahead. But DRG, he likes to play a logical game of StarCraft 2 in ZvZ. I feel like you can always see him wanting to commit to something that's efficient and makes sense. And doing nothing but holding down the Roachling key is just that. But he starts a third queen now, injects his natural, pulling his queens to the front. I think he wants to kill the Overlord. You can see he's pulling queens down here. Yeah, he'd like to snipe this Overlord so he can sneak an attack across the map. He's doing nothing but massing roaches right now. And he didn't mind showing a few roaches. Those roaches at the front are there specifically to deny Dark scouting. Dark getting some good trades. Dark himself is massing up for a 30 drone all-in. DRG is massing up for a 35 drone all-in. This is a very good position to be in as DRG. He sees even more units coming out. And DRG should be very comfortable to just defend. There's no carapace. When his +1 kicks in, his roaches will two-shot the very Zergling-heavy composition of Dark. Yes, Dark has roaches, but he's down on roaches. They're not going to have the upgrade. And the Zergling rally is going to be useless when +1 kicks in. He's got about 30 seconds to get some damage before that upgrade's done. But Dark is down on army, and there's defender's advantage. DRG has an amazing concave of units. When you've got that much stuff out, it looks like you are just way ahead. And with his +1 about to kick in, he's actually going to start to chase Dark across the map. Dark will need to do some Dark wizardry to pull this one out. He's going to have to, I don't know, do some Avada Kedavra stuff. He's going to have to Crucio the crap out of DRG and make him feel some pain because the numbers are not agreeing with Dark. But Dark gets a good angle. It is a good angle. The upgrades, though, the Lings are just melting. But DRG pushing into a very awkward position right now. Dark using a fantastic defensive position. And we'll see exactly how many units. It just looks like DRG might have the numbers, but, I mean, the supply is getting dangerously close. Dark is back even in workers. Oh, man, he's trying to micro back transfuse his Biles. The Ravager trying to pull back his Roaches, trying to defend the +1 and that early lead for so long. It looks like DRG is going to be able to take a good fight. I don't think he finishes Dark off here. And in fact, he's still rallying Lings. Oh my god. He tries to morph Ravagers, but a Bile gets one of them, forces the other to cancel. Great moves by Dark there. DRG going after his third base. It looks like a really good start to the series for DRG. That Ling pressure paid off. And oh, the Ling surround, shutting it down there. Really nicely done. Yeah, very, very good. The +1 attack. Carapace, a lair, 24 more Lings on the way. DRG is ransacking that third base, and he's going to win the first map in this best of 5. The underdog starting off with a win. All right, well, he drops the first map. Is going to go for a hatchery first in map 2. Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Dark. In the top right, it's Team Envy's Dongregu. That, my friends, is a 12 pool. Building an almost... That's a full wall there as well on that side of the mineral land. So, interesting. Hatch gas pool. Dark. You should be getting the pool down by a minute 14. As long as it's down by a minute 14, you've done pretty well with your build. Smack bang on. And in fact, That was a slightly earlier pull than normal. Did Dark mess up his opening? Or is he purposefully... Oh, he's got a pretty quick gas as well. I don't know if this is to try and be safer than normal or to be aggressive. Oh, DRG sneaking his lings around the Overlord as well. He's doing the surprise 12 pull. Interesting. Okay. It's a pretty big map, so the Overlord doesn't get there. So you can sneak 8 lings around and then only your 9th and 10th ling. And he's actually going 12 lings. Does he go 14? Do we go 14? No, he builds the Overlord next. But these lings will run right through the Overlord. But at that point, these guys are already almost on top of the hatchery. You haven't saved any lava. You're up on 21 out of 22. Remember, guys, Dark doesn't build an Overlord. So even with the hatchery finishing, if he builds 2 queens and 4 zerglings, he's going to be in trouble. He starts ling speed immediately. Oh, Dark is already thinking about the counterattack. Dark thinks he's being 13-12, but now he sees the hatchery. He realizes it's just a 12 pull, immediately cancels the spine. It's too late to pull drones. He's going to lose the hatchery. This is a massive victory for DRG. Ooh. All right, lings are coming on in there. That is a very good trade so far. 12 lings to kill a hatchery, but that's a quick ling speed. Does he realize how fast it is? DRG, you don't want to fight with the queen there. Dark will out micro you. Oh, Dark left his Overlord. Oh, but he's not going to be able to kill that. DRG, good try, but it'll just barely get out of there. About 20 hit points. Meanwhile, looks like he will move down to try and think about retaking his natural. He's going to go basically one-base Baneling Nest counterattack. The Overlord survived on 9 hit points. Ooh. DRG is going to build a creep tumor at the front. I think he wants to just defend with a wall off. No spine or anything. DRG is playing way too greedy right now. Ling speed's already almost done. Oh, DRG, if he doesn't wall off right now, he's dead. And his Overlords are really poorly placed. He doesn't see the main path out of Dark's base. He's got to get this Overlord south. He is fixing it. He's fixing it, but a little bit late. Okay, he sees it. He sees it. And look at that. 3 queens up front. He's got to wall off. Man, there's going to be Banelings as well. 3 queens and Slowlings on the ramp. I don't think this is enough. No spine building. There's a lot of Zerglings coming. Banelings are going to be morphing already down here. And no extra defense, no extra queens. He's just building drones. DRG may just die to what is essentially a Lingbane all-in counterattack. DRG, he's got 4 queens. Oh, he gets a wall off up. That queen is badly placed on the bottom. That queen needs to move to the right. It could get surrounded pretty badly. Bit of a mistake there, but 4 queens is not something you really want to attack into. More Lings and Banes are coming. DRG doesn't have vision. He can't see the rally. DRG with an absolute amateur placement here. He's going to wall off fully, but now he doesn't have any queens behind the wall off. He's got a transfuse available. Okay, he's got 2. Drops 1, drops 2. He's about to get a 3rd one. Drops a 3rd one. 3rd one does go down. I mean, he's trading all right, but he's got to pull the Lings back. He's going to have to do a spready. Still no Spine Crawler on the way. He starts 2 extra queens. DRG has been a little bit lazy on this defense. Luckily for him, Dark was way behind off the opening and is down 13 workers. He's got to wall off fully. That is a full wall off. A Spine is on the way, but he needs to wall off again behind it. It's going to take 2 more Evo chambers to cement that wall off. These Lings will get surrounded and taken down. They're just going to try and slow down Dark as much as possible. 16 more Lings, 2 queens and a Spine are on the way. He's going to build more Evos on the top, but it's actually this Evo chamber that will go down first and foremost, I believe, not the Roach Horn. A Spine Crawler is going to fill the gap on the left side. That's a very vulnerable structure. Queen's going to get some damage done. There will be another Spine here momentarily. Evo chamber goes down just barely in time. The Queen not quite in position, but there's a Spine Crawler here. Good spready on the Zerglings for Dongray Goo. Dark's in the main, though, and that Queen, she doesn't have a crevice to go to because of that spawning pool doing a full wall off. The drones are going to try and spread. DRG dives right through the Banelings, the daredevil that he is. Absolute psychopath. Those drones have Banelings right on top of them. The Lings trying to do a spready. Dark on just 19 workers. He is in a terrible position, but he is the one person who would just commit to a 1-base Baneling bust here and expect it to actually work. I still think, though, that DRG, as messy as it's been, has survived the scariest part because he's got roaches out. Wait, more Lings in the main. More Lings in the main. Where are the Zerglings? All the Zerglings must have been blown up. They're all gone. I don't know what happened to them, but they no longer exist. Roaches are very good versus Zerglings, as are Queens, but he's going to continue to trickle in. He needs to seal the wall off, but it looks like he's done it. He's held on. There's a single Baneling in the mineral line. The Roach takes that one out. The Spines. This one on 4 kills. That other one on 1 kill. Dark finally holds down the drone key. I'm telling you guys, part of what makes Dark scary is he's so fluid and unpredictable. I was analyzing before the show started today. We did a little analyst segment, and we said this is the most one-sided match of today, where Dark has won the last 10 series in a row. And it would be crazy for DRG to win. But also, the reason why Dark's so dangerous is because he plays so unpredictable and he does random weird stuff. One of the big problems with that is that works really well when you're on a high and it keeps clicking and you're winning tournament after tournament. But eventually you will have an unlucky streak where those builds run into the counters to them, where you do get punished, and that confidence might be starting to take a hit here as DRG is massively ahead in this second game. He's obviously, you know, you might look at it and go, oh, he's only at 35 workers. It's going to be hard for him to secure the third base. He does need to spread some roaches if he wants to get that third. Otherwise, that's an easy cancel. But he's got double Evo. A lair, even workers. His third base is up at the same time. I mean, this is all great for him. 2 spines and a queen up front. You don't really want to run through that gauntlet with your Zerglings. And the roaches are going to scale into the latter game, right? Once the upgrades are in, whereas Dark Zerglings will not. Now, Dark is going Evo Chamber, Roach Warren, up to 3 gases. He's going to try and recover here. But he's going to need to be doing some real magic tricks for sure. Dark was clearly expecting hatch first, hatch first, and planning some sort of Ling Flood himself. That's why he went for his gas a bit earlier than normal, his pool 1 supply earlier than normal. He wanted to rush Ling Speed this game, but he was just he was clearly not mentally prepared to face a 12 pool, and the fact that they dodged his Overlord really caught him off guard. I think when he saw no Lings moving out, he'd already kind of crossed that off his list of possibilities, and Dark was like, oh yeah, that can't happen. We're all good. Now look at this, 1-1 upgrades, Roach Speed on the way. I mean, okay, it's a worker lead, a better composition, and more upgrades on the way, and faster tech. Dark has no advantages. So what do you do in this scenario? Well, the trick is, you want to only use these Zerglings to backstab, but don't actually throw them away. Just use them to threaten and force him to leave these better units at home, but don't actually fight with them. Just use these to pin his units back defensively, threaten the economy as much as possible, right? So you see there, look, he's so quick with how he reacts. The other thing you want to do is you want to use your defender's advantage. So you want to set up roaches defensively and basically stop at equal or maybe even slightly lower economy to make sure you can survive. You're so far behind that you need to basically block a push, and you actually probably want to try and somehow judge the game to the point where maybe you mass units off a bit of a lower economy just so you can take 1 good defensive fight. Maybe DRG overcommits to an attack, and that's actually how you want to get back in the game. If you try to build 20 more drones than the opponent to catch up, well, guess what? You're just going to die. There's no way in a mirrored Roach versus Roach war, when you're this far behind, you can massively over-drone and catch up. The equivalent of being greedy for that style of comeback is to build the same number of workers as DRG. And even then, defending a push is going to be very hard. So if you build the same number of workers, you're all right. Dark is just going to go for a Roach all in though. DRG's Overlord placement does leave something to be desired. He spots it a little late, only now. Mass Roach coming through the middle. DRG is building Tunneling Claws and Burrow and all these fancy things, but Dark now goes back to droning. So he wasn't actually committing to it. He says, screw it. He's going to try and drone up, but of course, trailing in the workers. Every second that goes by, DRG is getting further ahead on the upgrades. DRG cancelled Burrow and Tunneling Claws, but he needs to make +2 attack. That's the most important thing for him. Building so many Overlords right now. 6 Overlords. So chucking a bit of a laser there is Dongregu. Taking inspiration from the Polish Overlord Feaster himself. Mass Roach Ravager is coming across the map. Looks like DRG, he's not going to start upgrades. He's just going to go for it. He cancelled his upgrades because he thought Dark was pushing him. He says, well, I might as well turn this excess of army into its own offense. But they both got Roach Speed. He's only got a carapace advantage. He does have a 40 army supply advantage. It's not all here on the front. Some of that's popping out of eggs, but that is still a very impressive army count. If DRG can push through, it could be on a 2-0 lead. He eats a bunch of his own biles, though. Dark with a very impressive defensive setup, but DRG is playing super decisively. You can see the way he doesn't hesitate at all. A lot of players would look at the start of that fight and say, ooh, I'm taking some bad biles. But DRG realizes that he has the numbers, and right now is his moment to strike. He has faith in the timing. He has confidence in the timing. And he gets the 2-0 lead. Uncle Dongregu there, hydrating with that big old 2-liter bottle of water. He's looking very on point. Down but not out. It's Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Beast, one of the favorites to win the entire tournament. He's been on a hot streak lately, but now he finds himself up shit creek without a paddle. This is Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Dark. That means you're going to have to get your hands dirty, Dark. There's no way to steer the boat otherwise. Murky waters for him, whereas this player in the top right just needs to keep doing what he's doing. He's been mixing in some aggression, and that aggression so far has been doing a very good job of catching out Dark's tricky build orders, his silly build orders, his dangerous build orders, whatever you want to call it. Team Envy's Dongray Goo on a bit of a run. Really, really love seeing the way he's been playing this so far. I keep thinking he's getting a little too stiff with his counterattacks, where he's just like, I'm like, oh, you could play a bit more fluid off this lead and like drone while pressuring and harassing. But I you know, the results speak for themselves. DRG is not getting dragged into a mechanical let's do everything at once war with the god of Zerg. You know, Dark is a guy you don't want to be harassing and macroing and microing, because you'll do all that and you'll think you're doing a good job, and then 2 Banelings will roll in and kill 8 drones, and then you'll look back and Zerglings have killed a few guys, and then he somehow swapped to muters after showing you a Roach Warren and a handful of Roaches. Like, he's very tricky, and I like that DRG, when he gets a lead, is finishing these games in a very clean fashion. Dark's been looking fine, rocking that beard and mustache all week long. I love it. I really hope he keeps it. You guys let me know in the chat down there in the comments if you agree. I think he looks awesome. He looks distinguished, you know? He looks like he's leveled up to become the final bad guy, you know? He used to always be, you know, a bit more of a young, arrogant bad guy, like one of the lieutenants, but I feel like he's the big boss now. You think you beat the big boss, but all it does is unlock the room to get to him. No Zerglings for DRG until just now. He's built 4 Lings. Alright, so that's interesting, delaying those. It's a lot of damage on the 3rd base. This is dangerous, because a couple hundred hit points there doesn't seem like a lot, but that could incentivize Dark to just do a Ling Bane pressure and look for a cancel on that in a little bit. I feel like he has out-microed DRG a little bit, but DRG has been playing pretty sound defensively despite that. Both players have gone for a quick 3rd queen. DRG's droning a little quicker. He's like a few seconds ahead, but otherwise it's almost identical in terms of the actual options of what they're focusing on. Dark does remember his 40 Overlord, so he's not going to be supply blocked on 44. Meanwhile, DRG is focusing a little bit quicker on the buildings, a little bit slower on the Overlord, so he gets the quicker Evo chamber up. But Evo goes up for Dark. It looks like Dark is going back to very reflexive ZvZ. Now, I wouldn't put it past him to just start Carapace on his Evo chamber and look for something aggressive, because I don't think Dark's comfortable sitting back and playing like Reyna and Serral. Those guys are much more confident, those Europeans, in playing the defensive game and just scouting with individual Zerglings. Yeah. Oh, that's DRG. Actually, it's DRG going Carapace, Dark going range. Now, if DRG commits super hard to a Mass Ravager Ling attack, then that's actually really good, because Carapace Lings do not care about range. On the other hand, there's a Baneling Nest here, so doubt we'll see that move that Solar pulled out earlier in the tournament. Drones trying to get out of there. Oof. One of them does go down. 2. Couple Zerglings. 3 drones. Very nice snipes. That's really well done. Super clean there. Let's look at DRG's vision. I think his Overlord vision's a little bit better this time. He sees most of the exits to the enemy's base. But a very nice pickup there, where Dark now finds himself a handful of workers ahead. It's a good little bit of momentum. Does look to me like Dark wants to play a macro game as well. Lingbane counter pressure coming in for DRG. Looks like just 2 Zerglings going to be threatening for Dark. Maybe scouting. Could be trying to run in and morph Banelings. We'll see. 2 Lings are going to go after them. He sees drones popping out. Makes it look like a normal game. We, of course, know that it's not. We know that DRG is going mass roaches off 42 workers. His natural is way undersaturated. There's a reason why DRG is sending so many Lings out front. Dark, if he builds another round of drones, he's in big trouble. But he starts roaches on 54. Perfect play. I think he's realized. I think he saw not enough drones on the 3rd, even though the natural's undersaturated. He's building roaches at a pretty good time right now. Roaches coming out, get spotted. Dark knows what's up. He's already started a spine crawler. His instincts are so good. He's so good at reading the play. 20 Lings are on the way behind this. This could still kill him. Don't get me wrong. This is a very scary attack. He starts 4 spine crawlers Realizing that's the only way he can turn his excess of drones into defensive power, he's got 2 Banelings and 11 Roaches. There's 11 Roaches for DRG. It doesn't really feel like DRG has the numbers advantage that he wants here. It's not a surprising enough attack. And I feel like Dark was just able to be the one who was on the offense more. DRG maybe a bit too defensive. The Banes are getting some big juicies in the middle of the Roaches and Queens, of course. Queens and Roaches don't take much damage from Banelings, so even hitting the center of that pack is not the most beneficial. Looks like DRG is going to have to back off. He's starting drone production. And the longer this game goes, the +1 range will scale better in the long term, because that allows you to get a much quicker +2. DRG hasn't even started his +1 yet. He starts his lair, which makes me think DRG has his eyes on a Spire, but I don't think the lair's quick enough for that to come out in time. That Overlord does get sniped, which is very nice. Lots of gas in the bank for DRG. DRG is 100% focusing on this, but actually there's a Spire for Dark as well. He could go for a later Spire and still make it work, but Dark has got 60 workers, so he's got the momentum there with those 5 Spine Crawlers. Look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dark has got a spectacular defensive setup, allowing himself to get to Mutas quite easily, and he will go +2 Roaches behind it. If he can spread some creep, move these Spines over to cover that base, that would be fantastic. DRG doesn't quite see that hatchery. Ideally, he would run down and snipe it because he has a much bigger Zergling count, and the Roaches aren't too well positioned, so he could even surround those bad boys potentially. It's a big commitment though. DRG, he's going to go for it. It's a big commitment, but it could pay off. Lings coming forward and Roaches as well. Oh, look at that. Ravager Cocoon Morph on 3 hit points. Another Roach surviving on 3 hit points as well. That's why those trades tend to not work out. Let's take out a Zergling or 2 that chases him. Overlord speed's on the way as well as Roach speed. DRG thinking about a 4th base? Yes, he is, but Mutas will be hitting the field any time now. He's going to need to build a Hydralisk den, and he was so late on starting +1 range, which means he is about 2.5 minutes behind on +2. So Dark's up 10 workers. He's got +2 way ahead, and he's also got the Mutas here. The only advantage is army supply for DRG, but that's mostly in Zerglings right now. Overseer does see what's up. Overseer should definitely be trying to get out, and it will, as long as he clicks that one far enough away, which he has. He's got to pull back all the Overlords, though. There's 6 Mutas coming out. He's trying to pull back all these Overlords. Is DRG. He's got OV speed, so he's doing a good job of it. Lings are still poised to backstab. Might get a hatch snipe later, though the spines are well spread. He's trying to build a Hydra den, a couple of spores across these bases. And he's got to be scared of the giant Roach swing that's going to come in behind it. The 6 Mutas are there to push him back, pick off Overlords, Overseers, force a lot of anti-air. Look at this. The Overseer's trying to snipe. He's like, comes in. DRG sees more Roaches coming out. He should know to do nothing but Roaches right now. Don't even build Hydras. He starts Hydras and Groove Spines. That's not good. I mean, it's okay to maybe go 8, but he's got to do nothing but build Roaches. He's supply capped right now is DRG. Dark is already up about 4 Roaches, maybe about 6 Roaches, in fact. Hydras are way too fragile. You need nothing but Lings in this scenario. These, nothing but Roaches to tank for your opponent. The Hydras are very fragile. The Lings are still in the bottom right side, thinking about where they're going to go next. 4th base in the top side, taking some damage from the Mutas. Hydras can move out, but look at that. Dark says, distraction, pulls him out of position, dives on in. Looks like he's ready to take this fight. The Biles making it very hard for DRG to engage. That base is getting sniped down, and he can just click it and run away whenever he feels like it. Dark does take it down. He's spreading Biles across this army. Look how weak those Hydras are. A single Bile, and they get knocked down to just 30 life. Biles spread across the entire battle line, and this is a spectacular execution of a build order from Dark. Got himself in a really nice position, blocked the Roach Bane, and he finally gets a point on the board. All right. We are going into what could be the final match. Still up 2-1, just needs 1 point to convert. Interestingly enough, he's building a 14 Overlord. Oh, he's doing Ragnarok's build order. It's the Overpool. Overlord into 14 spawning pool. This is a 6 Zergling pressure that Ragnarok's been doing a lot. It creates a very weird situation. Let's see if Dark down here, going hatch first on the shortest rush distance map pool, knows how to deal with it. Thing is, those Lings come out so early, they could dodge the Overlord and sneak out, I believe. I think they get out just before that. Now, the thing is, you still expand behind it. You still play it kind of like a normal build, but you can do a very quick Ling Flood afterwards as well if you choose to. There's a few different ways to play it out. Ragnarok basically just makes the game weird with this opening. That's the whole thing. It's not quite as late as a 16 pool, not quite as early as a 12 pool. It's just this kind of odd in-between pressure that he likes to go for. And Ragnarok, of course, made it to the finals of the GSL. Put up a very good fight there as well. Obviously, playing against Maru, probably the worst player he could have possibly got there, simply because Maru is one of the best. Moondance is too small to sneak out, so he will just go straight across the map. Dark is trying to play the 3-hatchery build. Ooh, he's playing 3-hatch gasless. Dark sees the Lings coming. Does he still put the 3rd hatchery down? He does. Oh my, oh me, oh my. Dark is in a little bit of an interesting spot here. We did indeed swap the colors for the players there accidentally. My bad on that one. Dragged them to the wrong spot in the bracket, but he's not going gas behind it. So it looks like DRG wants to play 2 base behind this, or even take a quick 3rd himself. Let's see how much damage he can get done. 6 Lings on the way. He's already denied a fair bit of mining. Oh, good pullback there by Dark. Dark doesn't lose a single drone yet. Oh, no, 2, 3. 3 go down for only 1 Zergling. Okay, well, that suddenly paid off. Oh, and another one. Oh, 4 drones. That's juicy. That drone going behind the back of the mineral line. That's what you've always got to be careful of when you're defending in this scenario. When the drones go back to mining, sometimes they run around the back of the minerals, and you've got to be really careful with those. So that puts DRG in a very good spot. On the other hand, even though he's way up on workers now, you know, he's well ahead with the queens. He's already got 2 queens, injecting a 3rd queen on the way. His 3rd hatchery is a fair bit later. And, well, neither side has gas mining, actually. Dark does see the 3rd hatchery, so that's really important for him. That tells him that he's safe. He doesn't have to worry about a Ling flood coming in. These queens will take out these Zerglings. Nice movement by DRG. Does he pull drones to kill it? No, not going to bother with that. Meanwhile, Zergling of DRG did get hunted down in the top side of the map. Double gas drops in the natural. Dark already sees one of those. His own double gas much later. Dark is happy to play. Just hold the drone key down. Macro, 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 macro. He knows he's maybe a little behind after losing, was that 4? 4 drones in the early game, as well as he'd already lost mining time up to that point, forced to build a whole bunch of Zerglings. DRG is up 4 workers now, and with that beautiful queen count, he's looking healthy. Double gas goes down about 30 seconds later for Dark than DRG, so he doesn't really have any aggressive options. I do wonder if he considers taking a quick 4th base as well. This is the sort of game where neither player has Ling speed. They don't really have any good attacks available to either of them. So there might be like a greedy arms race where one of these guys just gets crazy and takes a 4th base before the 5-minute mark. Lair, Evo Chamber, Roachhorn. Very standard sort of follow-up. Wouldn't be surprised if Dark does the same sort of thing about a minute behind. Dark is about to overtake in the workers. So you got to look at this and say, hey, Dark's done a great job of catching up. He had a bad early game, so he focused everything on just non-stop workers. Delayed his gas, just all mineral focus, and he's actually doing a really good job of evening the economy out. The advantage is still going to be there in the tech, though. DRG does get a much quicker +1. His lair is already almost beyond halfway done, and going up to 5 gases. So, I mean, it's naturally going to build into a 5 gas roach speed +1 shove across the map. And if he can do that, deny Dark's 4th while taking his own, you got to remember these back bases only have 6 mineral patches and 1 gas. Looking at their cameras right now. DRG's looking real focused. Let's go to DRG's camera. Yeah, he's got that killer instinct. He's been in big championship finals before. He's not a player who's going to suddenly get super nervous and fall apart here in this high pressure scenario. And he's moving that drone out to take a 4th while going for an overseer scout. You can see Dark is also looking for the 4th. Told you guys that 4th base is so important on this map. If you can deny theirs and take your own, man, it is a almost checkmate maneuver. It really will give you dominance over the map. Second Evo Chamber starts up for Dark behind this, and he does start his own 4th hatchery. Both players starting at about the same time. DRG, though, he's got much quicker roach speed and +1. He can move across the map pretty soon, and there will be a moment here where this 4th is looking very exposed. DRG has not seen the actual 4th hatchery yet, so he might be in more of a defensive mindset. The game's even enough that I don't think DRG's got this giant kill timing available to him. No, not by any means, but we'll see who chooses to go aggressive or at a spire or something like that first. Carapace coming in now. Dark will catch up on that eventually. +2 range. If DRG goes straight for +2 range, it'd be great, but he's not. He's making Ravages. He's going for a push instead. He's got 3 Ravages morphed. He's moving out. And the roach count, very similar on both sides. It feels to me like Dark has judged this pretty perfectly. Even without roach speed, his +1 should kick in time. And he does get in a nice position, avoids the first corrosive bile. I like that DRG's kind of spreading the biles out a little bit though, but he does have to pull back from there. Wise pullback by DRG. Looks like the Overseer barely gets out. Good save on that one. Bile spreading across, forcing Dark to kind of stutter step into him, but it feels like Dark just has the numbers, so it's all right. That sort of retreat, though, is always going to be costly for Dark. Fourth base is up for both sides. Neither one comfortable droning it just yet. Neither one has Overlord speed. If you can get 4 Ravagers, you can start one-shotting Overlords. At the moment, he's going to be able to put them in the red, but he's not able to finish them just yet. So they want to put their Overlords on patrol paths to make it harder to hit. Notice Dark's prioritize that 4th Ravager. So he's going to start one-shotting. The Overseer of DRG is still poking forward here. Look at that. Nice bile. DRG quick to dodge it, though. He's got fast hands, does DRG. Even in his old age, he's what we call a geriatric pro gamer, coming into almost 35 years old. But despite that, he's still very quick. Overseer dodging again. +1 carapace is there. Check it out. +2 is starting slightly earlier for DRG. He's also going for a Dropper-Lord, Burrow, and Tunneling Claws. He's built a handful of workers and a 6th gas geyser here as well. But still hasn't taken out any of these Overlords, nor has he put all of his Overlords on patrol paths. So I have a feeling like DRG might lose a bunch of units out on the map. Behind this, going up to 63 drones. So he's just adding 1 or 2 drones as Dark, ever so slowly. Nice contaminate. Oh, Dark took a poo on the number 2. The number 2 range upgrade. I didn't even mean to say it that way. Wow, that just kind of flooded out. Subconscious, you take over from now on. If you're going to keep coming out with ones like that, I'll let you take the reins, buddy. Spine Crawler on the 4th base, going up in the mineral line. Overlord speed for both sides for better vision. Let's check the Overseer vision of Dark. So he's got Overseer on the right, Overseer on the top, and he's got an Overseer outside his natural sieged up that he's not going to move from there. So he's ready for Tunneling Claws. Tunneling Claws is not really going to find much of a way in. DRG does have a 5th base. He's also going Infestation Pit and Hydroden, but they're both playing so respectful of each other's aggressive tendencies that neither of them's droning past 60 workers. So normally when you kind of like, oh, we're playing late game, you'll see someone try to get to 70 or 75 drones and then start building static. But Dark is building static. He's not building extra drones. He's just holding in this pattern. He's saying, I need to make sure I don't die. Dark is the best late game Turtle Zerg in the world. I think he might be better than Serral. He's definitely better than Reyna and Rogue. He made Rogue look silly in a few matches. He made Reyna look silly in 1 or 2 matches. They've beaten him sometimes as well when Dark gets impatient, but if Dark really decides to just knuckle down and turtle up in the late game, his Viper Lurker micro is crazy. Roach Ravager moving down that right side. Overseer hanging out in his base. We've got those first Tunneling Claw boys. I think canceling that base might be the best value he could really get. Can pick off some drones and then maybe back off, though. Big army on the front. Gets one of the Overlords of Dark. Not bad. Hive is on the way here for DRG. Oh, the Roaches try to sneak in the back door. That ain't going to work. Nice focus fire by Dark. Only 2 Roaches going to sneak in. DRG unable to really get in there. Only 1 Roach survives, and there's a Spine Crawler. Best bet for him would be to unburrow and then hold position that down there. Looks like Dark did lose another Overlord. Let's check in on the units lost tab. Dark has been more efficient there by 700 resources. But he is slightly down on the worker count, and he is missing those biles on that Overlord. He also burrows some Roaches in plain view. Where's the Overseers, though? No Overseers on the right side. Okay, he's spreading some Overseers out now, is DRG, so he should catch this. But Dark is now going to start exploding into some multi-prong aggression. He might be a little behind on the tech, but he is going to start moving out there. Overseer sees it. DRG, split. He's got to split his army. He can't send everything to that side. Oh, DRG sending his whole army. This is bad habits. This is really bad habits. The way he's splitting his Roaches really scares me for DRG. Oh, Roaches on the left side do end up in a skirmish. Army in the middle gets caught. DRG. Oh, he takes a big wave of biles. And these Roaches derping backwards. Dark dancing around the middle of the map, getting better fights. On the other hand, DRG wins this fight. This fight down there, he runs past the Roaches accidentally. Looks like he will get on top of them. That's a good one for him. I don't think this is game over by any means, even though Dark took a very promising beginning to the fight. DRG needs to max out. He's got a lot of lava, 43 available that he's not using. Ooh, he ate some big biles. Very nice plays here by Dark. We got a Roach in the back. The Queen should be able to handle that Roach, especially with the help of the Hydras. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, DRG's army gets caught out. He's got a great Roach run by on the bottom, but he's throwing way too many units away, and he's got Hydras stumbling into the Roaches. Dark is out positioning him. DRG needs to put it back in his pants and stabilize. He's got to calm down and ease out of this situation. That is a much bigger army for Dark. Why is DRG not remaxing right now? He has so much lava, but he's not using it. DRG feeling the heat, feeling the pressure, and Dark is pouncing. DRG is focusing on picking him apart with roach run-bys, and Dark answers with a swift punch to the face. He says, you can focus on the run-bys all you want. If you don't keep your army up, you can't win. There's still 30 lava available. But DRG just does not have the gas. He spent so much gas on Hydras and tech and all these different upgrades, and he just does not have the gas to spend, even though he's got thousands of minerals. He was getting some good economic damage, but he got ahead of himself with the Hydra swap, the Lurker tech, the Viper tech, all the fancy things that he was adding, and he did not have the gas to support it. Just needed to remake the Hydras there, or remake the Roaches. Dark, though, forces that 5th map. He doesn't go down easy. All right, we're going into game 5. We got Dark in the top right. Heck yeah. And of course, DRG in the bottom left. Exciting times here. DRG, I'm hoping, I mean, if he can make the impossible happen, I would not mind him winning. At the same time, Dark, he shares a lot with Reyna, the comeback kid, in that they're both very hard to put down. A lot of players tilt. I think Dark and Reyna are basically untiltable. Like, you might see them look a little annoyed or something, but you very rarely see it affect them in the next game. It's like water sliding off a duck's back, you know? There's a lot of players out there that are not waterproof. They are not tilt-proof. They get a bit of water on them and it instantly soaks through. And you're just like, ooh, you look like a drowned rat, you know? You can see it in their play in the next game where they're making mistakes and all sorts of things. But Dark bounces right back up. Always just looking for a way to win. There's a flick they switch in their brain where it's almost like they seem to enjoy playing from behind more. And they're like, ooh, I really need to pull off something special to win this game. I think they have this very well-trained way of embracing the challenge and keeping themselves in the moment rather than thinking about the mistakes they've made or why they're in a hard position. I think they just have a very deep acceptance of the chaos of StarCraft. Let's see if DRG can keep pace with him there. Because being up 2-0, losing 2 games in a row, it can be a very, very high-pressure moment that breaks a lot of people. Because you can't help but go, oh, I wasted it. I should have just done this in game 3. I should have just done that in game 4. And you start pulling yourself out of the moment. And then you start missing things on your scouting, making mistakes mechanically. It's a very common thing that happens. Dark going for that slightly quicker third base, but puts himself a little behind in the drones because of it. I do think DRG opening is a little better. And unlike game 1, he does actually hit his injects the moment his queens pop out. A little bit better this time, which is nice. Now you can see the gas count is a little ahead for DRG. Dark's looking to play a bit more defensive. They both go third queen. It's interesting that DRG seems very unwilling to Ling Bane attack Dark. Like, he's not doing just light Ling Bane pressure. He's like, no. I don't want to get in that messy game with you, man. Does not want to go dance with that. First 2 Lings coming out on the map for Dark. Interestingly, DRG just sits there with 4 Lings. Both players playing incredibly passive on that regard. It's going to be 4 Lings total, 2 on the map for Dark. His third queen immediately walks to the third. That is a very greedy move. DRG is doing the old school safe move, which is spreading a creep tumor so your queen can safely walk to and from your third base. That's the safe move. For Dark, game 5, no shit's given. He's like, yeah, I'll just let my queen stand in the middle of nowhere. If you Ling Flood right now, she'll probably die. That's fine. I can hide her in the minerals and make her kill a Ling or 2 before she goes down. Whereas DRG is like, oh, no, I gotta be careful, man. They're both going +1 range, so neither side going carapace. Dark was half a cycle ahead on those drones. Tron does go down for him to complete the wall off a little bit earlier. So it feels like Dark is happy to play defensive in the mid game. Whoa! He's playing Spire. Is he? Wait, what? Why would you go Lair so quickly? Maybe it's just for the Overseer. There is an argument to go quick Lair just to scout what your opponent's up to, actually. And then otherwise just play a very macro-centric style. A lot of players, I see a quick Lair like that, I would assume it's more sinister. He's going to knight us, man. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. But for Dark, not necessarily. That being said, 5 gas Nidus is not a bad build. A +1 roach speed Nidus is one of the most powerful ways to kill someone, especially if they're taking a 4th base or going up to Mutalisk tech or anything like that. It's a bit too greedy. Both sides seeing that each other are droning their third bases. You see all those drones on the third, and you know that they are playing quite economic. Don't have to worry about any big aggression coming your way. Lots of overlords on the way here for DRG. Oh me, oh my. DRG's already into roach production. And he's building spines. Oh no, DRG! He saw roaches popping and he thinks he's getting rushed. Oh, DRG with a huge misread, guys. He's building 2 spines. He thinks he's getting all in right now. DRG is reacting to what is just like 8 or 9 roaches, and he's just going back to drones. Roach speed +1's on the way. Meanwhile, DRG, he's got lair. He's not starting roach speed because he thinks there's a big all-in coming. And oh, Dark sees it. No smile. I'm surprised he didn't smile there. He should realize that he has got DRG scared of him, overreacting to very slight feints. The Lings come in. Gets 1 drone. Gets 2. Not bad. Actually, sorry, only 1 drone. The other drone was one that Dark killed earlier in the game. DRG's trying to counter-strike. He's building Lings. He's building Lings right now. That is a real sign of desperation. DRG needs to do big damage with this attack. He needs to do big damage. He got tricked. He let 2 spine crawlers finish, and he massed so many units. Dark isolates 2 of the roaches, but he might get cornered by the Lings. Nope, the Baneling. The Baneling. Ooh, does take out only 3 or 4 Lings. More roaches coming in. Remember, these are +1 roaches and queens. They annihilate the Lings of DRG. And it feels like, at this point, Dark is too agile. I was talking at the start of this series about how Dark is kind of like a Muhammad Ali. He's a big, strong boy, but he dances around and just you can't land hits on him. He's unpredictable, he's fluid, he's feinting and pulling back and moving around. DRG, on the other hand, he just, he normally looks like a fantastic ZvZ player, but you can really see when he swaps from one focus to another. When he's really kind of like shifting from one focus to the other and really like, oh, I'm going for an all-in. Ooh, I'm trying to defend and be greedy. But for Dark, he's swapping back and forth between the two freely at all times. And it's very hard off one piece of scouting info to pin that down. And as a result, DRG finds himself very far behind in this game. He's got a double Overseer scout because now he's worried about a muta swap. Luckily, this Overseer will find out the second Evo, so he knows it's going to be a roach game. And his supply is not too far behind, but that's because there's a lot of money going into tech and the faster 4th base there for Dark. DRG does have spines to fall back on. He's got a Ling squad ready to do run-bys on the right side, and his upgrades are ahead on the +2, which is actually fantastic. So it's not all bad news. It's not game over, but it feels like he's fallen behind in the early stages to fear more than anything else. Overseer floats on into the main base. Hydras are coming out very early. So DRG, I think, loves Roach Hydra. Roach Hydra, if you can set up your concaves really well, is fantastic. It's just hard to win the game with it. Nidus Worm for Dark. He's going Nidus and Burrow and Tunneling Claws. Guys, what sort of interpretive dance is this? Who goes Nidus and Burrow and Tunneling Claws? Dark is basically saying, I'm never leaving Roach Tech. I'm going to be on Roach Tech for the next 5 minutes, but I will force a way into your base. I'll be Nidusing. I'll be doing Roach Run-Bys. I'll be doing all of these little adventures. And meanwhile, DRG wants to go for a Roach Hydra timing. He doesn't have Overseers at home. Uh-oh. This Roach Run-By sharking its way forward. DRG on the right side, breaking the rocks. Wait, he spots it. Does he spot it? I think he notices it somehow. He must have seen Tunneling Claws. He must have spotted it on one of the roaches on the other side of the map, so he realizes he starts to run home, but he's a little too slow to split into these bases. Already 3 drones going down. Make it 4, make it 6. These roaches pairing up these kills very nicely. Lurker Den, Infestation Pit goes down. DRG wants to play late game, but he's taken a lot of economic damage. I also think he may have seen the Nidus Worm. 2 roaches survive in the corner. They tuck their heads down and they say, shh. It's that scene where they're in the riverbank hiding, sucking air through one of those hollow reeds, hoping they don't get spotted. Still a very big army for DRG. You got to keep in mind, he did not rebuild his drones. So he's actually got a giant army, but the Nidus Worm in the main, the spine's just out of range. Roachling in the main, though, is there to greet it. Oh, DRG! Move command again! No! Just like in the previous game, he move commands into the army in the middle. Oh, absolute disaster for DRG. He's done that way too many times in this series. Oh, look at this position. The Biles are doing magic work here for Dark. There's only 3 Ravagers for DRG to answer it. It's not enough. He's way down on the supply, and Dark is just out trading him right now. That 4th base is 100% going to fall, but Dark is keeping it alive as bait, holding a gun to its head as a prisoner. He truly has evolved to a goddamn James Bond villain. and he uses it as bait to get DRG to throw a lot of his army into the meat grinder. Pulls back at the perfect time. 63 drones versus 54. DRG still has spines in the main. He's still got Lurker Tech on the way, but it is actually Lair Tech Lurkers. Lair Tech Lurkers are your budget Lurkers, guys. They're what you find at the pawn shop. They aren't in mint condition. They do not come with the 10 range or the speedy burrow unburrow. Big Roach run by on the left side coming in. Actually, sorry, it's a Nidus attack there for Dark. DRG frantically trying to get over there. The Lurkers will be able to defend, but Dark's quick to strike on the right side as well. He pulls back on the left side and he goes in on the right. He says, mate, the old in and out, I've been doing this for years. The Roach Ravager just trying to lure him around. DRG's quick to pounce and get a few kills though. And those Lurkers on the left side do create a very hard to break position. DRG starting to dodge a few of those biles. Here we go, Dark dancing around this map. He's just started the hive. Dark was so happy to stay on Lair Tech, right? And this is what I talk about recently. Some players are happy to tread water, others aren't. Dark is happy to tread water on Roach Ravager. He's happy to just sit there and stay on that style and look for openings, whereas DRG always wants to go to the next step. Right now, DRG's going hive. He's got Lurkers, but he's lost his fourth. He's lost his economy, and that makes him desperate. He's going for a Roach run by. Looks like he should be able to shut down this Nidus just barely in time before anything can pop out of there. Very good timing. His own run by does get in. Dark does not actually have a big economy, and he's been very slow to transfer workers from his other bases, so he's actually not really using that base that much. The Lurkers are here. Main base, fourth base, third base, all looking well saturated. Those Roaches got cleaned up. These are still just Overlords on the top right. Nidus Worm in the main. DRG's got to deal with that, but the army at the front is very scary. He runs into the meat grinder. Get out of there, DRG. I think he thinks he's got the numbers. Maybe he does. But that means he's distracted from the Nidus in the main. Good pullback by Dark. And the moment the Nidus pops, he goes back and he says, unburrow those Lurkers, I dare you to. Luckily for DRG, the Nidus is empty. Ooh, Roach attack on the right side. Lurkers on the left could get jumped on. DRG hanging on by a thread right now. Lair Tech Lurkers are keeping him alive, but how much longer will they do that for? These Lurkers are exposed. Quick unburrow and a retreat. But he's got nowhere to hide. He's going to try and get behind the mineral line. Maybe the workers can come in big. Biles take out one of the Lurkers. More Roaches and Ravagers come back, but Dark, I mean, he's just got so many more units. The 9 Ravagers working so well. The Lurker Den's coming up behind. He hasn't even built a Viper yet. He could get that at any moment. He's still got Roaches up on the 4th base, which has never been allowed to mine for DRG. The obsession with the Hydralisk tech, I think he's been afraid of Mutas all series long, has DRG. But it has come to bite him in the ass, where I really do think a heavier Roach style straight to Lurkers is much better than playing Roach, Hydra, and Lurker. If you're going to go Hydras, I feel like you have to go for a maxed out Lair Tech push because it's just such an awkward transition otherwise. Roach is running down the right side. Dark is starting to snipe the base, and he's going to just commit to that one. He says, hey, as long as you don't have a 4th, and I do, I got 8 gases, you're on 6, you're mining less than me. He knows this is a losing position for his opponent. The Lurkers! Oh, Dark there! Makes his first big misstep, does step right into DRG's territory and takes some spikes right up those Roaches' naughty bits. They are going to have to burrow to heal up, but if he does so, he's got the room for it. 3 Vipers, adaptive Talons on the way. Notice he's going Talons before range on the Lurkers, and that is specifically because he wants to be able to run in and take an aggressive position early. Nice Roach run by for DRG. Is he going to be able to push with Lurkers at the same time? It feels like DRG might be trying. Dark just blocked his entrance with a Nidus Worm. Who even thinks to do that? Who thinks to block your enemy's Roach attack with a Nidus force field? Dark, that's who. Dark, the absolute savage. What an absolute madman, dude. Just thinking of cool plays in the heat of the moment. Lurkers burrowing forward. The Roaches in the main. No, that's just Overlords. The Roaches in the main got cleaned up. The Lurkers coming forward. These are now 10 range Lurkers. They are very hard for Ravagers and Roaches to stop. It starts to just inch him forward. It's just so few. It's only 4 Lurkers. And the Vipers are here. Big blinding clouds will be game-changing. He abducts 1. He abducts 2. Great pullback on the right side. One of these Lurkers on the left gets reburrowed, as does this guy, but he is outnumbered. And look at the way Dark's moving forwards to spread the Lurker damage in different directions. A masterclass comeback for Dark, who drops 2 maps and then just rolls back in for the victory there. Gets a big reaction to a handful of Roaches faking across the map. Now, that is Reyna's move. I want to go back really quickly and point that out. Reyna does this all the time versus Serral, and it's the exact same thing. 8 Roaches move across the map. Serral shits the bed, cancels his lair, cancels his other stuff, starts making... I've seen him cancel his +1 before to this Roach pressure. Same sort of scenario. we'll go to that point in the replay, which is, I think, about 520. Yeah, so the Ling sees the roaches, and he's like, quick, spines, mass roaches. He doesn't realize these 12 roaches he's building is more than Dark's built in total. And Dark's just already gone back to droning. So he doesn't start roach speed, even though the layer's done. Lets the 2 spines finish, panics a little bit here. And then he feels like, oh god, I've built so many units, and he goes for that really unimpressive Roachling counterattack. So this was a very bad start for DRG, but Dark a masterclass from then on out. GG, well played. Just turns around, goes home, takes a massive lead. GG.